this week on Socratic Cinema. But when he's making these candles, he doesn't make like non-manly sense. Like he still is trying to cling to that and be like, well, I want to smell like diesel oil or whatever.
Yeah, he's still
Right.
making like burlap pine.
You don't love me anymore, go back to him. And so they do. Like, she does go back to him, and there's no consequences.
It's an awful movie.
No consequences.
Okay, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, that's also a red flag. I'm sorry. Ho, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another very special episode of Socratic Cinema. My name is Charlie Heatherly.
My name is James DeLisio.
And I'm Kasey Clark.
And today we are talking about Netflix's latest holiday special, Love Hard. Yeah. Don't really want to do cheers. No, Kasey, I don't know about that take.
Positive.
This is like Jimmy Yang's sort of introduction into, I guess, rom-com movies.
Yeah.
And it is certainly a film. And before I trash on it too much, I want to make sure that I'm not misrepresenting it. Let's get into some other takes from some of the other hosts. Kasey, you seem to be very excited about this movie for God knows what reason. Why?
Okay. It's a farce. This movie was really long.
It's a farce.
She lied.
Really 2 hours long. Okay, I feel like this movie was like below mid, but not like trash, like ground level trash. It was just like, I could have gone without seeing it. It's by far not like Kissing Booth 2 levels of horrible, but
sure,
it's still bad. I found some parts enjoyable, like mostly the grandma.
Interesting that you would say that.
The grandma was pretty funny. I feel like the acting was really, really stale at most parts. I was very, very the casting too. Harry Shum Jr. from Glee was in it.
Leave him alone.
And I was like, no. He did what he needed to do. They said you and you're gonna have it. And he came into the writer's room and he's like, I will only do it if I get a singing part. And they said, whatever you want, Harry Shum Jr. And that's why we have a caroling interlude. But overall, I mean, this is the kind of movie that like will be the object of many a drinking game. Let's get crazy inebriated and watch this like people do with Clifford, like the Big Red Dog. Like I feel like it kind of goes into that kind of category of movie that I would never imagine or ask anyone to watch this sober. So that's my take. I'll give it a 3 out of
a 3.
Wow.
Okay.
That's biting.
Yeah.
That is biting.
But I can argue for some good parts of it. That's all that I'm gonna say.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I mean, James, what's your response to this?
No. The work of a critic is in many ways easy.
Ego.
Love Hard had the potential, I will say, Love Hard had the potential to be a fun, cheesy rom-com, so bad it's good, Hallmark-esque film. I think it really had that potential, but it is so bogged down by this like millennial BuzzFeed-esque dialogue and like out of fashion writing that is just, it's very hard to listen to. It's very cringeworthy, and I hate to use that word. And I think it's also hampered down by a lot of like, we're so young and hip, we're gonna throw in crass humor and talk about this is a PG show.
Genitalia.
Exactly. No squares.
Culture.
Yes. It is completely poisoned by that, I will say. And I think without that, it could have been just like a fine, I like brain rot, just watch the movie and like zone out and it's fine and it's good. But instead it was just this very distasteful, bland, it made you sad to watch it. I will say for the record, I hated Grandma June. So
Oh.
I
there.
thought she was fine. So we have represented the three different
Well,
categories.
I like listen, nothing against Grandma June as a person. It's just she to me was one of the biggest. Her and the friend Kelly or whatever
Oh,
were
Kelly.
were they were like the biggest offenders when it comes to BuzzFeed millennial jokes.
Yeah, Kelly's an awful friend, by the way.
Yeah.
Kelly's awful.
Also
Yeah,
Period.
typical,
What?
yeah.
Well, she plays into that like the oh, I'm your well, not necessarily like the size difference friend where
Whoa.
no, because it's very common where it's like you have like
She's
this
the
super skinny,
what's
consistently
I
attractive
know what you mean.
or size difference, like like usually bigger like sidekick that's always trying to like live, and it seems like live vicariously through her, but
The
also get
Ned.
terrible advice and
Yeah, the Ned.
The
character.
Ned.
No, you're so right. So, all right, you two don't really like the movie. And let me say, I agree. I watched this movie while doing something else, and I think that that's the perfect setting to enjoy this experience in, because it's so vapid and so devoid of really any meaning. It has a very muddled message as well, which when I'm watching something that like pins itself as a Christmas movie, I really want it to have like a strong, clear message. I don't care if it's cheesy. That's part of the fun if it's cheesy, right?
Sure.
But when I watched this movie and it had this huge point about identity and being yourself and don't be a catfish, and if you are a catfish, then just be funny enough and maybe you can seduce the person you tricked into liking you.
Yeah.
But like it deals with this idea of accepting your identity, especially as a man, to not like fit into the traditional like outdoorsy masculine stereotype. But when he's making these candles, he doesn't make like non-manly sense. Like he still is trying to cling to that and be like, well, I want to smell like diesel oil or whatever.
Yeah, he's still
Right.
making like
Gypsy Lou.
burlap pine or whatever,
Yeah.
Fine.
And he's like, no self-respecting man would ever want to like smell lavender. And it's like, I love lavender. I think that's a phenomenal
Hell
smell. I like why would I want to smell diesel? Why would I do that to myself? Because like it feels so late. Like this movie was meant to come out like 4 years ago. And if
Yeah.
it did, it would have been more timely and more fun. But now we're in a much different environment socially. And it just
Mhm.
doesn't match the moment at all. And it feels like a product of a time that really like has been past for a while. James hit it on the head with the BuzzFeed thing.
I think what may
Yes.
have happened is like this movie was probably written in like 2016 or something, and then they were trying to get it off the ground, and then COVID happened, and now like maybe they shot the movie and like production wrapped, but then COVID happened and everything kind of shut down, and now we're like 5 years later, and Netflix is like, all right, get it out.
Yeah.
So it feels unstuck in time. It's it's very strange. It's a just barely behind the curve, like not so outdated that you're like, because when something from the 90s is obviously dated in a way that it's that it's old,
Yeah.
and that's sort of like part of it. This is just it's in the uncanny valley of being out of fashion. It's like just
Yeah.
old enough where you go, this is in poor taste, but not old enough where that becomes part of the charm. So it's very very interesting case
Right.
study.
Well,
Plus, I think we all just try to forget about that like BuzzFeed era. So
yes.
it's like because I remember consuming like, especially in like middle school, like a whole bunch
Oh
of
yeah.
BuzzFeed trash, like BuzzFeed and like some other sites that were like essentially the same thing. And like, I mean, you can get that semi nostalgia from it, but everyone hated that. Like,
Yeah,
there's
There's
Yeah.
no
Literally the
nostalgia
workers
here
of
for me.
BuzzFeed. Like we've gotten to the point where like these last 2 years, like workers from BuzzFeed and like the BuzzFeed era are like, yeah, BuzzFeed sucks. Like, why would we want
We don't want
a
to
movie
remember
that
it.
like we don't want to remember that, you know? But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely agree that you hit the nail on the head with the lingo. Like I feel like Netflix suffers from this like curse of they never write age groups appropriately. Like
Yes. Yes.
where it's like no millennial speaks like that, you know? Like you're just like going through Twitter and like write that down, write that down. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just not natural at all.
No, and especially when you have like that scene in the retirement home where you have all these old people using
Oh,
like
Oh, that was
God.
so
that tested me. That really tested me. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
That was awful. Who thought that was a good idea? Like,
This
It was
movie is a string of that question over and over again.
yeah.
well, I feel so bad because Jimmy Yang was so fun in Silicon Valley. Did you guys watch that show, by the way?
I didn't,
No.
but I like
So-
But
Jimmy
I know
Yang.
he's a good funny person.
He's a
Yeah.
comedian, right?
Yeah, he's a good, funny person, and I sort of wonder what role he had in the script writing process because
Probably
this movie
none.
does not come off like that. Like at all. You can clearly tell the moments where they just told him like ad lib a couple jokes, and those are the funniest jokes in the entire movie.
Yes. That. Exactly, Charlie. That exactly.
Yeah, like when you trust your comedians to like write and say funny stuff, they will write and say funny stuff. But when
Yeah.
you try and jam it all down with this dialect that nobody actually speaks, and this problem extends to literally every script in Netflix's repertoire. Like all of them, people don't talk like real people. If they're ever trying to do anything that's like remotely modern, right? And
Yeah.
and not stylized. It feels very disingenuous, and I think especially when there's so many different Christmas movies that are out right now and that you can go and see, I don't get why this is the one that they thought would add to that like genre at all. Even the name is misleading because the name sounds really fun, like a rom-com mixed with Die Hard, like action, romance, comedy. That's sort of what Die Hard already is, but I'm imagining something that's more like, Notebook with guns. That sounds hilarious to me, and I want to see that movie. But
yes.
Yeah.
this movie also rips its ending off the Notebook like 1-to-1 clean.
Yes. Actually,
Really? I haven't
do
seen
you
The
want to
Notebook.
jump to the ending? Because
Yeah.
let's talk about it. I totally agree with you, Charlie. Because the Notebook, spoilers for the Notebook. So what
Go ahead.
happened in the Notebook is that the main girl is in a relationship, engaged with this guy. That's like he's not a bad guy. He's kind of a douche, but he's not a bad guy, right?
Mhm.
Objectively. And then she's consistently cheating on him with Noah. What's his name? Noah. Well, Ryan Gosling's character. And then
Mhm.
the guy's finally like, okay, like the guy that she's engaged to be married to him, is like, okay, well, you've been cheating on me. I know you don't love me anymore. Go back to him. And so they do. Like she does go back to him and
Wild.
there's no consequences.
It's an awful
No
movie.
consequences. And that's the exact same thing that I've been thinking about for this movie. Like like are you trying to tell me that the only consequence was like, oh no, she had to admit to everyone that she lied, and like literally
Yeah.
the Tag, also a man named Tag, are you serious? Anyways, that's beyond
Go
the point.
off, Kasey. I'm
But,
loving
like,
this.
He had a great point and they completely gloss over it. He's like, okay, you got catfished and you were hurt. And so you went and did the exact same thing to me. And she doesn't even sit with that. She
Yeah.
goes and she's about to leave. And then she has a like whatever reconciliation with her boss. And like they never touch on that again. We never see Tag again. Which is like, I don't necessarily want to see him again, but like,
Mhm.
what? It just feels so like empty. Like she should have actually had to sit with that, but literally it was like 5 minutes later. she's back at the house. Like, okay, let's do this Love Actually thing. Like, what? What?
Yeah, no, it is very devoid of any sort of consequence or weight. Owen, Rip, Owen was like actually kind of he was actually like kind of well written because he is unlikable and that's the goal, you know? Like
Yes.
you don't like Owen or his girlfriend. I think they do a good job at making them like comically douchey. And then they just like randomly love Josh at the end and are like, okay, maybe I
Right.
missed something, but there was no like sort of reconciliation. They just like stopped being awful, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Right,
the
they're just
entire
gay.
thing
It's
with
like
Owen's
done.
character. Yeah, the entire thing with Owen's character is that he's like secretly jealous of his brother, right?
Right.
And they at the end it's just like, oh, I'm not jealous of you anymore because I ruined your life, and that's going to be the resolution to this. Oh, but now you're actually in love with this girl, so now I'm very happy for you. Like what?
Yeah. Not a whole
No,
lot of
you're not. When they were sharing a genuine moment, you wanted to crush them and like take over their space.
Yeah.
Every
So-
single time.
Yes, every single time. So, like, because typically when it comes to rom-coms, I judge it based on how angry it makes me. And the more angry and like, I wish that could be, it makes me feel the better the movie is. But in this case, I didn't get any of the second part. I just got like rage-induced fury in the first part. So, like,
Yeah.
don't put yourself through this. It's not like the worst movie on the planet, but there's just no value to be gained here from anything. Like even pure brain rot enjoyment. Nothing is here.
However, there's one redeeming quality.
No.
Representation.
Nope. It is the singer-songwriter acoustic cover of Read My Mind by the Killers. Grabbed me by my throat and refused to let go.
Where?
After the Christmas party, when she like reveals the truth and she's all sad and walking home, you know what comes on? On the corner of Main Street. Just trying to keep it in line.
I pay attention to anything but the movie.
I adore the Killers. All right. So when that came on, for me, it is a 10 out of 10. For me, it is
I love
Love
it.
Hard.
Oh.
Film of the year.
I mean,
Oh my
I
God.
was doing curls while that was happening, so I don't think I was paying attention.
Charlie was getting yoked.
I was getting yoked during this thing. I've been trying a new regimen over Christmas break where I try and work out once a day. It's going well so far, and this movie gave me enough energy to definitely get through that.
Oh, good.
Also, okay, let's talk about our two main characters because I just want to touch on that nobody is likable in this film.
Yeah.
No one. Maybe Grandma. But
I like
Grandma,
Josh. Nah, I
Grandma
would
be
be friends
applying
with
that
Grandma.
social pressure. Like, why are you giving your ring? Your ring. Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and then I was going to say the dad, but then I remember the dad's a misogynist halfway through the movie.
He is?
How early.
Yeah, do you
No,
remember
the
what
mom-
he
the
or go ahead,
mom
Casey?
died.
Someone say something. I'm
Someone say something.
confused.
The mom was okay. The mom was okay. I feel like the mom had like limited speaking lines as well. But
Listen, Josh was fine. Nina was fine. They're both
Josh was fine.
Josh was fine. He's not like a villain. He's not antagonistic. He's like he's a fine person.
Josh is the villain. Prove me wrong.
Is
Tag is the-
Josh the brother?
Listen, no, Josh is
Josh-
the
How
main
is
villain.
Tag the villain? What
Listen,
are you talking about?
Tag is the victim. Listen,
Okay.
maybe Tag is a bit of he has some red flags going for him, but he did not
has
deserve
so
what
many
happened.
red flags, but he
His
didn't deserve that.
Okay, his red flags are that he doesn't celebrate Christmas, and that's
Yeah,
like,
that's a huge red flag. Like,
yeah.
okay, not
Maybe
sorry
he's
if you
not
celebrate like
Christian.
Hanukkah.
Sorry, Jewish
Maybe
people.
he's
Red
just
flag.
not Christian.
If you don't celebrate any holiday during the holidays,
Maybe-
that's a
maybe-
red flag.
Listen,
Jehovah's
he
Witness.
reads Walden, so he's at least a little bit based.
Okay, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, that's also a red flag. I'm sorry. I'll alienate our Jehovah's Witness audience right there. I apologize.
the numbers start plummeting.
No, not
Oh.
all 3 Jehovah's Witness viewers.
Out of our 10 listeners.
Yeah, we're very big in that community, just like our media. Oh,
I just don't like how impulsive Josh was. Like, I feel like he was like he was just too like he wasn't a bad character. I just feel like he had these moments where he like got into his man baby thing. I was like, why? I understand that he was like jealous and like they were trying to make it seem like, oh, this is how he's acting when he's jealous. But it's like, really? And then also, who in their right mind would just propose to in front of your family?
No,
In
that was some
front
good
of
hijinks. I disagree. That was
I'm
that made for
saying,
good.
I'm saying in this relationship, it's a secret relationship, right? She's over
Secret from who?
here trying to bag tag, and she's
Tag it
only
and bag it.
bag it and bag it, baby.
Stop.
But she's
Stop.
over here with his family, and they're trying to keep it low key with his family with the intention of breaking up like after Christmas. And she's still trying to hook up with Tag. So that's why they're keeping it on the low. So it doesn't make sense. Like, it's like how emotionally, like, un.
I will
like
simply disagree.
disconnected you have to be. I know it was like a fit of passion, but like, come on, dude.
Kasey, it's a movie. Kasey.
No, it's not.
Kasey, this is Love Hard we're talking about.
Yeah, but this is okay. No, Kasey, I'm with you. So many
Okay,
things in this
thank you.
movie don't actually make sense because
Sure,
like
no, yeah.
let's question the premise first off of her staying. Like, okay,
Yeah,
in
that
your,
is the one thing
in
that
your
just
mind-
does not make sense.
in your mind, this guy who James apparently think is fine is a catfish, right? An awful
Mhm.
human being who has lied
Right.
about like the entirety of everything.
James Nev would be on your butt.
Yeah.
for-
Yes.
Who's Nev? Who's Nev?
The host of Catfish? Come on, James.
Oh,
What are we
my
doing?
bad. My bad.
But she gets catfished by this guy, and she thinks that Tag is still the one for her, despite the fact that she wasn't talking to Tag. And the only thing that matches between the two is that Tag still looks hot. So
That-
all she has found that she thinks is in this perfect guy is that he's hot. Nothing about his personality. She's just resigned herself to the fact that she's going to go after this guy. I don't get it. Like, just give up and go back to LA. Why would you put yourself in this mess? It's not even a moment of like passion or like just really awful decision making. It's just like she's stone cold sober, like no romantic attachments at all right now, and then she makes that decision.
Mhm.
What? Why?
it doesn't make sense. And they were trying to make it seem like, okay, the conversation with her and Josh, where he was like, well, you were talking to me. You fell in love with me. You liked me, not him. Me."
Yeah.
Okay. Slight point. I'll give it to him.
Mm-hmm. Team
But
Josh.
you can't say that, like, okay, y'all had some chemistry. I think also the thing is, him and Nina Dobrev, no chemistry whatsoever. I didn't know.
No chemistry.
No.
I'm not
You
gonna say
disagree,
anything.
James?
I'm not going to
No,
say anything.
come on,
I mean, how am I supposed to?
Joker.
What am I supposed to say, Kasey? I'm here to make content and hopefully make someone laugh today. All right, all right, Kasey.
I'm
This is a
sorry.
job we have to do here.
A job.
James is like got transported to a cubicle. He's like, I'm doing my job.
Listen, it's Christmas. All right, I'm just trying to go home to my family.
Yeah,
I'm
I love
working
how
overtime to afford gifts.
well, and James is the one that's the biggest on like getting good Christmas spirit in these movies, and then he's the one that suggested we watch Love Hard
Love hard.
instead of
Yeah.
a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, this, by the way, no Hallmark this year. It's Love Hard.
This is what
I
you
would've-
get.
Anyways.
Listen. Let's talk about the baby is cold outside redux.
King.
Okay. First
That
of
was
all,
funny. I like
that was
that.
funny. It was funny. I did think it was funny. I also want to point out that this is another peak example of this would have been funny 3 years ago. It's like we as a culture have
Yeah.
moved on from critiquing Baby It's Cold Outside. I feel like it's one of those things where it's sort of become like, yeah, it's weird if you listen to it. And then we all sort of move on with our lives because it's not that big of a deal and we're adults with common sense, you know?
Mhm.
But it's just it's another one of those things. I remember reading somewhere that like the original song was like this the man and the woman would just like perform it at like Christmas parties as like a fun like cheeky thing, and then they were like, oh, you should record this. So maybe not the creepiest origin, thankfully, but
It still sounds rapey.
it sure does.
You know how I
Um,
realized it sounds very, very rapey? I heard it sung by Bill Murray in A Very Murray Christmas.
No.
And now I love Bill Murray and I love that special, but him singing that song to like a 30-year-old woman, and he was also making fun of it as they were going, but like it really it casts it in a whole different light.
Do they sing it in Elf at one point?
They did.
Are
They
you
did.
elf? Are you guys elfers?
I
I'm an
am an
elfer.
I'm an elfer. I think they sing it. She's like in the shower at the store.
Pull up in the Sri Lanka.
Pull up
Sorry.
in the Sri Lanka. What?
What?
Am I an elfer?
Elfer. Am I an elfer? Spaghetti and maple syrup. What?
What are you
We
guys
should've-
saying? What are the
Oh.
words that are coming out of your mouths?
He doesn't know. He doesn't.
I don't
Girls
know.
that get it, and the girls that don't.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
I'm on a different planet right now. What's happened?
You sort of realize with a movie like Love Hard that you can only really talk about it for like 25 minutes and then you're kind of like, all right. But I think my central thesis with Love Hard is that it could have been
That's a sentence.
in analyzing the text, one deduces that it could have been great. Love Hard is a story of missed opportunities. They could have had a perfect campy little tropey Christmas flick that was cringe but enjoyable, i.e. any Hallmark movie ever. Instead, what we got is a studio mangled, millennial maligned. That was a big
that was
alliteration.
dang.
That was big. It's just a
Oh.
mess. It's a mess. Bars. Love hard to watch.
No, not again. Not again.
And so it left me with a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm sad because I think Love Hard could have went hard, but it didn't. And now it made me
Wow.
want to die hard.
No, wow.
Wow.
Big bars.
Okay, wait. As the resident Die Hard fan,
Here he goes.
can we just say how stupid this movie's connection to Die Hard is?
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
really,
we can.
really aggressively bad. So her idea of flirting is disagreeing with people about Die Hard. If that was how you flirt with people, I
If-
would be like the head of Playboy.
So
If
I've been doing this
someone-
wrong, you're saying?
If someone slid into my DMs, like let's say I had posted something about Anastasia, right? Because I am, or Prince of Egypt.
Then I
Yeah.
would have blocked
Very
you.
sensitive about those movies. And they're like, oh, trash. You're getting blocked. Why did you match with me? What? You better get out.
Yeah.
No, it's like I said. Did I tell you guys my thesis about La La Land?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's a good thesis.
It was.
But yeah, no, I think you're totally right. I mean, there are so many better names they could have gone. I mean, they could have done the Hallmark route and just name it some alliteration thing like Christmas Catfish or something. Like Love Hard.
God,
Just
that would have made me not want to watch it.
no. If it was named Christmas Catfish, I would have jumped. I would have pounced on that way earlier.
Yeah, actually, it
Love
sounds so
Hard-
bad. It's good.
Love Hard is such a like. It is tangentially related to the movie. It doesn't really mean a whole lot on its own.
Mhm.
Listen, consider Christmas Catfish. Just think about it. You know?
I'm with
Re-release
you.
it. I mean, the Love Actually thing, that worked, I think.
I have not seen Love Actually. My mom
Oh.
says it's terrible though.
It is. It's horrible. Love Actually is a movie about several different people being horrible.
Yeah, she
Love it.
like genuinely spoke with malice about it. Like it was
Yeah.
not just I
I
don't
mean,
care for it. It was like I
was-
despise it.
Exactly how oh my gosh, now I'm even forgetting her name. The main girl character, oh geez.
Natalie.
Was Natalie, yep. Was talking about where it's like, it's just about them falling in love with people and their looks. Ugh, you Ugh.
Yeah. Wait, you're so right. She has
And I'm
awful
like, are
movie
you
takes and
kidding?
doesn't listen to herself.
yeah, wait a minute.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Guess what, Natalie?
Right.
You're not
All
coming
right.
on the Socratic Cinema podcast. I
Yeah.
said it.
Sorry,
I
Nina.
said it.
And
You're
what I
uninvited.
say goes. I am the law of
It's
this land of
Charlie's
four
world, and
squares.
we're just living in it.
Exactly.
No.
So
Anyway.
we went a little overtime last week, about 20 minutes overtime, which means, the law of equivalent exchange says this one has to be shorter. Does anyone, at the risk of keeping the viewers hostage any longer and keeping us hostage chained to this movie, I think the sooner we all move on from Love Hard, the better.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any parting words they'd like to say about Love Hard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait. Let me count out how many words it is. I have 5 words. Are you ready for them?
Mm-hmm.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
That is 6.
No, Die Hard's 1 word. It's Die Dash Hard, I'm pretty sure. It might not be. If it's not, then it's 6. But the point, why are you semantically correcting me on this point? What are you doing here? Yes, and the law of yes and in comedy, James. You
yes,
go along
and
with
you're
the-
wrong.
No, it's-
Yes, you're right. No.
Fine, that's my point. 5 or 6, take it or leave it.
We talked about this last year, and I think
It's
you
2
guys
words.
somehow put a gun to my head and got me to say that it was a Christmas movie.
Yep, we did. I mean, no, actually, we used our
coercion. Yeah,
words.
wow, great.
We used our words to break you down and mold you back up.
Is it?
And remember, James, we still know where you live.
Is
Yeah.
that what happened?
Would be a shame if something happened to your plants, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a little bit fun.
yeah.
Listen,
Mhm.
Kasey, you know what I've got to say to you?
Yeah, what? Say it.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Socratic Socratic Cinema Podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, you can find us on our YouTube channel for more content. Feel free to subscribe, drop a comment telling us what you thought about Love Hard and what you would name it, and whether or not you're ready for the sequel, Die Actually. If you're listening
Worst
on Apple
joke.
Podcasts, feel free to drop a review and let us know how we can make the show even better. Let us know what you think. So we can get our Michelin star. If you feel like supporting monetarily, 'tis the season. You can become a patron at patreon.com/Socratic Cinema for as little as $1 a month. You can get access to episodes early. You can ask us questions on the show, vote on what we cover, all sorts of perks. We have a great time over there on the Patreon. The patrons know. Speaking of which, shout out to you guys for making it all happen. You guys are the best. We hope you enjoyed this little mini cast Christmas special edition. Have a wonderful holiday season. I hope you're able to spend some time with loved ones. We'll be celebrating over here in Socratic land, gearing up for the recordathon. And
Dun, dun, dun.
and we'll see you in the new year, neighbor. Bye-bye.
Bye, adios.